I want to cover a topic today that many people deal with. Um, and I was thinking about it because it's 5 o'clock in the morning, and I often sit and meditate and I think a lot of ideas. I got that from Einstein. You just boost it up and be early, and then all of a sudden ideas will come to you. I was thinking about fear. FEAR, false emotions appearing real. Make everybody want to forget everything and run, and we want to learn how to face everything and recover. So the first thing I want to do is I want to explain to you on 3 stages you want to do when you're communicating with people. You want to tell them what you want to tell them. I want to talk about fear. Tell them, which is I'm going to show you a clip that you can get on YouTube on the brain. And I've been using this for years to explain how the amygdala, which is one of the areas that controls fear in the brain, because quite frankly, just growing up, you can be in PTSD. You can just get trauma from your life. So what I'm going to show you is, now that I think about it, with police and all of this stuff that's going on, and that's not putting anything on police or anybody at all, is that we have to be able to, what they've shown you in these clips is how neuroscientists came to, the Navy SEALs came to neuroscientists to figure out how they can train the brains of their Navy SEALs to not do the one thing, to not react too quickly in panic, because that's what caused death problems. So they have this routine called a hooded box routine, where there's a lever that you pull, and then when you're under that hood, you can't hear anything or see anything. So what they do is they pull it up, and you have to make a quick reaction. And what I want to say is that this is very difficult, but what I found with myself, with my own fears, and I had a lot of them in life, is you have to work very hard on your brain and train it to not react too quick. I get up in the morning so I can pray, meditate, and calm myself, and have more control so I can make better decisions. And you can go on YouTube and get this. It's called The Brain, and you can see the whole thing. But I want to put it on an area on my TV here just to show you a quick clip on how that works and why you have to get engaged, because you're not going to get over your fears unless you face them. I don't care if it's snakes. I don't care if it's going to the mall and you don't want to go out the door. The brain has to know that it's going to be safe, and you have to train it. They also have another area in there, which I'm not going to show you. You can go to YouTube, called a super fear, called fear of drowning. And they showed you all the routines when you get in the water, how they're going to tie your hoses up. And most of the recruits fail, because as soon as you hit a fear that's really hard for you, even though you know the routine to get out, it's very difficult. But if you keep practicing, you become better. But without further ado, I want to, put this on the routine.
The simplest and strongest of these is fear, a primal emotion we all share.
If you had to pick one brain region that was most important in fear, it would be the amygdala.
There's no better place to explore how fear affects the brain than here at the Navy SEALs Special Warfare Command in San Diego, California. Recruits are put through specialized training to change the way their brains react to fear.
We introduce our students almost from day one to absolute chaos. And they will struggle. When you look at historic mistakes on the battlefield, they're almost always associated with fear or with panic. So the capacity to control these impulses is extremely important.
Out of 140 candidates who start each class, on average, only 36 make the final cut. Successful recruits seem better able to adapt their brains to the demands of the job.
It's not really necessarily the physical people who get through there. There have been Olympic athletes who dropped out of training. And there's this 140-pound farm kid from Nebraska who'd never seen the ocean before, and he graduated. Why is that?
To answer that question, the Navy turned to neuroscience. When confronted with fear, it's the amygdala that responds to information from our senses and instinctively presses the body's panic button.
The amygdala is actually one of the most interconnected regions of the brain. So it actually will both send signals to parts of the brainstem that now elicit a range of bodily responses. As you start to sweat, your heart races, you might freeze for a while, you might run away.
This exercise, known as the hooded box drill, is part of the close quarters defense system and is one of the ways the U.S. Navy conditions its recruits to control these amygdala signals.
Our students are deaf and blind. Our instructors will set up a scenario, and then the hood comes off, and the student has to respond.
Well, when you're under that hood, you have just a moment to kind of gather your thoughts and think of scenarios that could come your way.
Sometimes the correct response is swift and lethal. Sometimes it's nonviolent.
Hey there, you know what the gas station is? My car ran out of gas.
And if you think about it, we're always dealing with those situations where we have to make better decisions. We don't want to just react and snap, because it can cost somebody greatly. It can cost them their life, it can cause problems. One of the areas that I have a lot of problems in my relationship is that fast reactions and fast emotions and jealousy and all of that stuff. And it takes time to work through these things when you're with people. It just takes time, But I know that I have success in that I've taken the time with myself for the past 27 years and worked on my brain because I see my life wasn't getting anywhere that I wanted it to be. So I needed to work on myself, and I started removing things that would get in my head, controlling my fears with chemicals and stuff. I got rid of that stuff, and says we got to work on our stuff. M. Scott Peck said in The Road Less Traveled that life is difficult, and we're going to have to learn how to go through pain because problems are painful. And because problems are painful, that's the only way we're going to grow spiritually and mentally. We got to go through the pain to solve the problem. All of life is difficult. It's difficult being in a relationship. It's difficult not being in a relationship. It's difficult having a job. It's difficult not having a job. Life is difficult. It says that in The Road Less Traveled, first few pages. So we have to learn, if we want to grow in this life, to deal with pain. We got to learn to slow ourselves up enough to make better decisions. And then we can pick up. Think about it.